Boom! Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru, coming at you with Mock Draft Mondays. If you like, sub, and subscribe, it don't cost a dime. I usually forget to say that, but I said it today. All right. So today we're going to be coming at you with a 32-team first round mock draft 6.0 edition. Now, follow me, people. You Mel Kuypers, your other guys, they're like on mock draft one. You know what I'm trying to say? So I have to throw different players around because what fun is it talking about the same players over and over again? So I have to put different players because we're mock draft 6.0. We're going to be over 30. It's going to be a lot before draft time and by draft time comes. So if your team doesn't get the player it wants, wait a second. By far the best beard on YouTube. If your team doesn't get the player you want, don't throw stones, man. Don't throw tomatoes. We're going to have, about 30 more mock drafts, man. So calm down. And these things change. Rankings change. Also, teams don't know how to draft. So all you need is one team to screw up everything. And it usually happens every year. So, mock draft 6.0 edition. Round one, pick one. The Titans play it safe, and it's a good pick. The Titans select Abdul, linebacker, Penn State. Where's Stinky Foots, bro? Back in the summertime when he said, no, the number one, I don't know about that. My number one linebacker is Harold Perkins out of LSU. All 6 foot, 200 pounds of him. That's a safety, my friends. And on top of it, he blew his knee out. 6 foot, 200 pounds is not a middle linebacker in my world, people. Number two, we got the Cleveland Browns. They're playing it safe. They're going to keep, they don't like the quarterbacks that are on the board this year. They're taking Travis Hunter, wide receiver, which they can use, Cleveland /CB. I think Cleveland might go like the free agent route with a quarterback this year because they've just gotten burnt with every quarterback they've signed, or traded for. I think Deshaun Watson, Mr. The Tug man, is gone. I truly don't know. I'm just shutting up on that one. All right. We got the New York Giants on board. And I'm going to go with a crazy pick for them because I don't see this pick happening, but I gave it to you anyway. Cam Ward, quarterback, the U. Let me tell you something. The Giants' skill positions are legit. They have a young, good defense. They just need a quarterback and a running back. And this is the draft to get a running back. And, a couple offensive linemen, and that easy, Dallas is the worst team in the NFC East. At 4, New England Patriots, they got to get their quarterback. Some weapons. McMillan, 6'5", 200 pounds. He just goes up and gets the ball. The kid is a freak, and you can make an argument he's a better wide receiver product than Travis Hunter. You've heard it here. I don't see Travis Hunter having a long NFL career. I don't see Travis Hunter going both ways in the NFL, and all those reps both ways in college, it's like a running back. From when he's a peewee to junior varsity to college to the NFL, you only have a certain amount of carries on you. And him going both ways in college is how he's going to have a shortened NFL career. And I'm sure there's a lot of general managers and scouts and coaches sitting in the rooms that are saying the exact same thing I just said. But you won't hear that from the other blowjob channels. You'll hear it here. The Jaguars are on the board, man. Yo, they can't get anything right, man. What, Trevor Lawrence? Remember when they said Trevor Lawrence was generational? That's why, I laugh at Ashton Jeanty. They call him generational. Bro, that word gets used every single draft, and it's a word that gets overused. Jaguars play it safe. Take James Pearce, edge, Tennessee. Kid 6'6", 250. He's a beast. They play it safe. The autumn wind is a Raider. And we have Shedeur Sanders on the board with the Raiders. It's a warm weather climate. They play inside a dome. So I don't think Prime's going to have a problem with his son going there. But if it was another team, listen, I've been saying it. He's going to tell which teams to draft him or not. Bro, these kids are millionaires. You think they got a problem sitting home? No. Next, the Jets are on the board. Oh my God, they're just a train wreck, man. And their offensive line, train wreck. How great did that Tyron Smith pickup look? What, they gave him 17 millions and the over-under? I put it like 8 games, and he only played 7, and then he went to IR. So I'm not saying this guy is my number one tackle, but he is to the Jets. And the Jets pick up Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU, and then they slide over Olu Fashanu, who I'm not a fan of. He has small hands. They slide over last year's first-round pick from Penn State, who just dropped in the draft like crazy. They slide Olu over to right tackle. Next is we got the Panthers. They got to get their young quarterback some help. I got him wide receiver, Luther Burden III. Like I said, we got to throw different names around. Nobody wants to hear the same mock draft over and over again. At 9, we got the New Orleans Saints, who, they don't even have a coach yet. More likely, I think they're going to go Kellen Moore, and you could throw a pick at those dudes anywhere. Tyler Warren, tight end, Penn State. And I gave you him in May. The kid's a beast. He's 6'6", 260, plays tight end, plays running back, plays quarterback, plays center. He's a bigger, I'm showing my age, he's a bigger Jeremy Shockey, and in my opinion, he's a more athletic Rob Gronkowski. This draft, you honestly see 3 tight ends go, which is possible. Chicago's on the board, and the last few years, they've been throwing pick after pick after pick at O-line, and it really just hasn't sunk in. They have to protect Caleb Williams. They picked offensive tackle Kelvin Banks out of Texas. A lot of people look at him at guard. I don't, because his arms go down to his ankles, and he can literally stand up and tie his shoes. At 11, we got San Francisco, and I hate them with a passion. They need offensive line help. This kid, a lot of people are really, really high on this kid. I'm not as high on him as everyone else is, but it's San Fran, so I'm giving him San Fran. I don't care. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Ohio State. In my opinion, he had a shaky 2023. I don't think his 2023 was as great as everyone says it is. His 2024 started off super strong, tore his knee, had a knee injury. He'll be back for 2025. But I'm not as high on him as everyone else. That's why I I rock to the beat of my own drum. That's why in my top 10s from 2024, my top 10s, I put dudes that were undrafted free agents. And yet they started. They made NFL teams and started. How many other draft guys do that? Get back to me on that one. Reach out. The next is the Dallas Cowboys, the dreaded Cowboys. They're picking 12, and honestly, man, they got no clue what they're doing. They always try to do a pick to make them look smarter than they are. I'm not saying I would pick this kid. I think they would try to draft back and pick this kid. Mike Green, edge, Marshall. Kid shrunk over the course of a day. First, they're saying he's 6'4", 260. Now they're saying he's 6'3", 250. I'm going to be honest with you, man. That's a little short for an edge for me in round one. But I think they're going to try to trade back and get him. But when there's other 6'6" edges on the board, I think they're safer picks. But what do I know? Next, we got the Dolphins on the board, and we all know their quarterback, Tua, his brains are like scrambled eggs, oatmeal. So we're giving him Armand Membou, tackle, Missouri. Listen, man, the Dolphins, no matter what, Dolphins have to go offensive line. Tariq Williams, what's out? Maybe they can get I'm sure they can get a draft pick for him. I don't know how many people want to get that contract. They might have to renew the contract because he has more children than he had touchdowns last year. So, next kid, it's crazy that he slid this far. I love this kid. Listen, you got to realize, people, are you a floor people or you're a ceiling person? Floor is what you see is what you get. Ceiling is the person's traits and what they could be. But this kid at 14 to the Colts, Mykel Williams, is a freak. 6'6", 240, does what he wants, when he wants, lines up where he wants, lines up at edge, lines up at defensive tackle. He had a rough ankle injury this year, so his stats were a little bit not that great. But if you want to see Mykel Williams, just watch both Georgia's games up against Texas. And Texas had the best offensive line in college football this year. He lived in the backfield versus Texas. And he was playing on a bum ankle. Next, the Falcons. Got a young quarterback. Got to get him some more weapons. Yo, we all thought everyone was going to go off with Kirk Cousins, and they didn't, man. Kyle Pitts, you know, how much of a bust is that pick looking like, you know? They got who else? They got Olave. They got Drake London. I mean, but we're giving Atlanta Falcons Egbuka, wide receiver, the Ohio State. I ain't going to say it's amazing this kid fell this far, but they're going to have a small-ass backfield. The Cardinals pick Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State, at 16. Boy, it's going to be funny, man, watching Kyle Murray and him run around back there. They're going to look like midgets. Is that an acceptable word? Midgets, little people, dwarf. I don't know. Let me know. I don't know if it's a bad word or not. The Bengals O-line is just a train wreck, man. I know that people saying you need to get wide receivers, but come on, man. The Bengals do have skill positions, and they can get wide receivers. They can get weapons later on in the draft. Listen, everybody, it is a below-average draft for offensive linemen. Some people call this kid a tackle. Some other people call him a center. It is what it is. Gray Zabel. I'm going to call him a center. I'm going to call him a tackle / center, North Dakota State. Next kid is a steal, man, from the Seahawks. This kid is either going to be an all-pro or just a straight-out bust. Shemar Stewart, defensive tackle slash edge, Texas A&M. The kid is 6'6", 290. Bro, he's chiseled, jacked. That's an East Coast word. Jacked is muscular. Problem is the kid had 5.5 sacks over 3 years. What's going to happen when he gets a bigger bag in the NFL? I tried finding positives in 2024. He did have 33. He only had 1.5 sacks, but he had 33 pressures. So he's close. Next is 19. And like I said, man, I'm throwing people around because you can't do the same mock draft over and over again. If I had $1 for every mock draft where I seen like guys go Austin Jeanty, then a wide receiver, I'd be a millionaire. Next is Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the board. Vita Vea is getting older. So we put Mason Graham next to him. Nobody's running on that defensive line. I'll tell you right now. You put Mason Graham next to an aging Vita Vea. No one's running on them, and they're going to win the NFC South. Again, the Broncos. Broncos need help anywhere. I'm not a big fan on this kid. I'm not. I really ain't. Watch him have a great year. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan, 6'4", 340 pounds. But I'm also going to throw this out there. For all the people, especially the Dallas fans, that say, oh, no Michigan players. You better have a lot of apologies when you see Mason Graham blowing up on another team with a Michigan helmet on, what he had in college. You better have a lot of apologies. Remember that. So the Broncos, we gave him Kenneth Grant, 6'4", 340, run stuffer in the middle. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, it's like being in a fantasy draft with your friends for the last 20 years. You can tell how they draft. They draft certain ways. And a lot of teams draft a certain ways. Pittsburgh Steelers usually draft conservative. They usually draft blue-collar players, no really question marks, and I'm giving them a running back, Omarion Hampton, North Carolina. He had sick 2023 stats, played on a horrible team. His best offensive lineman was 5'11", 270, Lumpkin. This year he had like 1,500 yards. The kid's just a beast, and he has most of his yards. In 2023, he had 900 yards after contact. And that kind of running fits perfectly in the AFC North in the cold weather come playoff season. So the Pittsburgh Steelers got Omarion Hampton, running back, North Carolina. I'm going to keep going this pick because it just makes too much sense, man. The Chargers are on the board, and I'm going to reunite this kid with his college coach, Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan. He's reunited with Harbaugh. Or this could also go the other way with the defensive tackle, Kenneth Grant. But one of those two kids is going to get reunited with their college coach. Next is Green Bay. And let me tell you something. Packers ain't going nowhere, man. They're a young team. They have very young skill positions. They do need a wide receiver. I did not see a wide receiver that was worth this pick, but I gave them the next best thing, a very big tight end who plays like a wide receiver, has better stats than most wide receivers, but he's not. He has to prove to me he can run block on the NFL level. And his name is Harold. You haven't heard this name on anybody else's channel, yet I gave you him in the summer. Harold Fannin, tight end, Bowling Green. Check out his last 2 years' stats. Ridiculous. The only question is, can he run block in the NFL? Next kid, Minnesota Vikings. They really don't have. Besides, they can get a running back later in this draft. They can. I'm not as high on this player as everyone else is. I see him play as a freshman in high school. Then he transferred to IMG. Then he went to Alabama. Listen, you're going to see highlight films of this kid pass blocking. He's not a great pass blocker. And that's, the kid's like 6'6", 350, and there's a reason he played guard. His feet is not that great. Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. It's my 2 cents. He's not a good pass blocker, but you'll see highlight tapes of him blocking people, but he's not. It is what it is. Like I said, we're having fun. This is Mock Draft 6.0, Mock Draft Monday. Next is we got the Texans. They need offensive linemen. So I'm giving him a beast, Cameron Williams, offensive tackle, Texas. He's a right tackle, but he can slide into guard first, and then later on they could throw him out to right tackle. The kid is a beast. He's a mauler. I know he's young. His best football is ahead of him. He has a nasty punch. He looks to just bury people and put them into the ground. Do I think he will get exposed on an island right now? That's 50-50. Maybe, maybe not. But I would throw him into right guard first. Or, listen, let's try him at right tackle first. See how it is. There's enough defensive linemen on the Houston Texans to practice with this kid the entire summer to see how it is. And the Houston Texans have one of the better defensive lines in the NFL. So in practice, his practices should be harder than Sunday's games. That's how you get better, people, with steel sharpening steel. Next, we have the Rams. The Rams are on board. The Rams are still looking for their defensive tackle 2.0. They're looking for another defensive tackle, the Rams. And I've given them who had a good, he had a good Senior Bowl. He had a good spring. Walter Nolan, defensive lineman, Old Miss. He played more 3-tech in college, but I think he can go back and forth from 3 to 1. Gets upfield quick, has a nasty streak to him. I honestly think he can play either. If you wanted to leave him at 1 to replace Aaron Donald, he's a couple of Thanksgiving meals away, or you could just leave him at 3. Next, at pick 27, we got the Baltimore Ravens, man, and they need some defensive help. And this kid was born a 5-tech. If you drew up a 5-tech in a lab, it would look like him. He had a decent, beginning of the week, he didn't have that great of practices, but it's just practice, man. There was kids that had great beginning of the week practices and finished the week bad. I'm going by game tape, not by practice. Landon Jackson, edge, Arkansas, 6'7", 290. That is the definition of a 5-tech in a 3-4 defense. And I got him going to the Baltimore Ravens. At 28, we got the Detroit Lions on the board. I don't think there was a guard at this position that was worth the 28th pick overall in the draft. I still don't consider Wyatt Mullen, West Virginia, a guard. Putting him at guard is a joke when he's had 3 years of football and 0 sacks, but it just shows you how certain coaches or organizations can ruin players. Wyatt Mullen is a left tackle. But I gave Detroit Lions linebacker Jihad Campbell, 6'4", 250. How ironic. We'll put Campbell and Campbell brothers. Putting Jihad Campbell at 6'4", 250. Next to Iowa's Jack Campbell, 6'4", 250. Who's running on them? Nobody. But how many people say, oh, they're too big. They're too big. We want our 6 foot, 200-pound linebackers. Not in my world, people. Next is Washington. Washington needs a running back, but there's 6 more rounds to get running backs. I am not as high on this kid as everyone else is. Can he be coached and have better moves? Yes. He was a left tackle in college, but the entire week at the Senior Bowl, it was like his footwork. He would just he would just be getting beat always to the inside. So he has to either improve his feet work, or honestly, he'll get slid to right tackle, or you might throw this kid at guard. He played left tackle in college for the University of Minnesota, Arante Isere, and I said this in May. I'm not as high on him as everyone else. And that's what makes me different. That's what makes me the guru. You don't see me just throwing on tapes and like, oh, look at this foot, look at this foot. Bro, that's the only time you ever saw that kid play, bro. You don't watch college football, Gooch. Come on, bro. Be a man and speak the truth, man. We have the Buffalo Bills on next at 30. Could have went O-line, switched it up a little bit. Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. He had 1,800 yards, I believe, 22 touchdowns for Iowa this past season in the Big Ten. He has not, and this is important for cold weather, because when you're playing when it's 30 below zero, the football field, for people that never played, the football is feels completely different. And when you hold it, when you throw it, when you catch it, it is a completely different feeling when you're playing in 30 degrees below weather versus playing in sunny 90 degrees Miami. Gave you Caleb Johnson, running back, Iowa. He hasn't fumbled the ball in 3 years. Boom. The next is the Philadelphia Eagles. How I hate Philadelphia Eagles, but I respect them. They're a good organization. Their organization plays chess when a lot of other organizations play checkers. And I know they traded some picks away. They have like 15 draft picks this coming April. Think about that, people. For all you teams that just sit there and let the draft come to you, Philadelphia trades up, they trade down, they trade left, they trade right. They legit have 15. They had like 18. They traded a couple of picks to the Redskins for a wide receiver that didn't pan out. But you can do that when you have so many picks. Philly's front office is legit, and they are good drafters. And also, when you have like 15 draft picks, you can package some picks and go further up when you see somebody you like, versus when you have teams that have less picks and have to trade back or have to take guys 1 to 2 rounds earlier because they know when they pick later, they're not going to be there. Philadelphia Eagles, I gave you defensive end Jack Sawyer. He's definitely a Pittsburgh or Philadelphia kind of kid. He's a blue-collar kid, 6'5", 260. He's going to come to work every day hard with his lunch pail. And the kid is a pit bull, bro. He just keeps coming at you. He was one of the guys in the middle of the Ohio State versus Michigan fight. But let me tell you something, people. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with fights on the end. I'm okay. It's football. What is football? It is controlled violence. I want a guy that's going to fight next to me. If I'm getting double teamed by 2-3 dudes in a fight, I want a teammate that's going to have my back, man. I don't want a banker. I don't want an accountant next to me. I want a dog next to me. And this kid, Jack Sawyer, is a pit bull. It showed him his heart. They're not planting. I'm not a Ohio State fan. I'm not a Michigan fan. But it showed him he has heart. No, they're not planting the flag in our stadium, man. How many kids just stood there? The coach even just stood there. He stood there like he was in a daze. Jack Sawyer can play on my team any single day of the week because the kid he has the size, he has the length, he has the production, and he is a pit bull that keeps on coming. And the one thing he has that you can't coach, he has heart. And I give him to the Philadelphia Eagles at pick 31. At pick 32, Taylor Swift is on the board. She's picking. Unfortunately, we all know who that is. And Taylor Swift is going to pick Josh Connolly, offensive tackle, Oregon. Listen, man, everyone's down on this kid because he had one bad rep versus Mike Green from Marshall at the Senior Bowl practices. You have to realize, man, when you're doing those one-on-one drills, it favors the defensive line. Then when you go to team drills, it looks different. So this kid has great tape, and you want to shit on him for one rep. After that rep, he got right back up, boom, and competed at a high level. So anyone else wants to shit on that kid, shit on him, these are just the content creators that just don't watch football. These are the content creators that all they know is Ashton Jeanty and a couple of wide receiver names. Bro, you can't fake the fake, man. You know who watches football. You know who doesn't watch football, man. It is what it is. It's Mock Draft Monday 6.0 edition for all 32 teams in the NFL. Because we all know when you're rocking with the GWO, for life. Also, jump in and subscribe to the Frisco Report. We got Cowboys Corner. He comes on Saturday nights talking crazy. We got Fifth Quarter Cowboys. He comes on Mondays and Mondays and Fridays. We got Cowboys Champ, Cowboys Fiend. We have to get him this week rapping, man, dropping bars. Also, we got 1980s Cowboys dropping facts. We got Ishan, Hollywood's newest up-and-coming producer, PaladonianFilms.com. Next, I'm going to be dropping 5 more draft prospects for April's draft, and we are going to be at 645 draft prospects. Look to your right, look to your left, see how many other draft prospects your draft channels have dropped. Compare them against mine. It's ironic. When I did all my preseason watch list, and then you're going to see my top 10s. You're going to get 30 at each position. Very similar. So similar. I did my preseason watch list starting in May. Dane Brugler dropped his like in August. So familiar. There's a method to my madness because we all know GWO over and out. Be coming back out with 5 more prospects. I'm gonna be coming out with another 1-team mock draft. Over and out. P.S. Mondays suck.